News Radio KMAN weather.
Finally warming up in Manhattan right now, 49 degrees and sunny skies with those winds lightly to the south around 5 miles an hour. Tonight, mostly cloudy with a low of around 25, mostly cloudy with a high near 39 on Tuesday, and that night, a slight chance of snow and freezing rain between midnight and 3 a.m. Otherwise, mostly cloudy with a low of around 24. On Wednesday, mostly cloudy with a high near 42 and a low of around 23 on Wednesday night. Wildcat Insider up next on News Radio KMAN.
KMAN Daily Weather is presented by Fox Business Systems. How much does downtime cost you and your business? Don't let another second go by. Call Fox Business Systems at 776-1452.
The following is an exclusive presentation of News Radio KMAN, your home for K-State athletics. This is Wildcat Insider with the Mercury sports editor Tim Everson and KMAN sports director Mitch Fortner.
It has gone from bad to worse for K-State men's basketball when people maybe thought it couldn't get worse. I still think it can get worse. But when you have the greatest Wildcat of all time speaking out on Twitter, that's maybe a sign of things not being very good. As a matter of fact, it does feel like it couldn't get any worse. Welcome to Wildcat Insider. Mitch Fortner, Tim Everson from the Manhattan Mercury, and from Powercat Game Day, Gavin Hyatt, Cole Dutchendorf across the glass. So we got a full house here today. If you want to call in or text in, get those questions and comments in, folks. 785-537-1350. I feel like this could be a high traffic text day. Hey, look, good thing it's those days of buying your minutes. Well, I guess you could still buy your minutes, but text costing 10 cents a piece. We're not going to run up any bills. We got unlimited data, folks. Bring on those questions or comments. Again, that phone number is 785-537-1350 if you want to chime in with a question or a comment about K-State sports, and I'm sure most comments would be about K-State men's basketball, as they are now 1-8 in Big 12 play. They lost yesterday to Iowa State, the 8th-ranked team in the nation, 95-61. One of the worst losses ever to ever take place in Manhattan, Kansas. Not just Bramlage Coliseum, if it was at a Hearn Fieldhouse, if it was at Manhattan High School, if it was on a rec court somewhere. Doesn't matter where it was one of the worst losses in home game history for K-State men's basketball.
Yeah. Bramlage, Ahern, Nichols Gym, the Van Zyl outside courts, the worst. Not only that, we're one loss away from tying. I did some looking today. One loss away from tying the worst start ever in program history. 4 other years before this year, K-State started 1-9 in conference play. A couple of those years, they only had 10 games in conference play, so they went 1-9. But most recently, 96, 97, and then there were a couple in the 80s, and a couple in like the early 40s.
There's never been an 0-9 start.
Never been an 0-9 start.
Oh, how about that?
Yeah, 9-1.
Yeah, that last time was that first year of the Big 12. Whoever's keeping track there at home, keeping the stats yourself. No, but after the game, let me give you full disclosure here. The stats in this game are pretty much irrelevant, right? I'm looking at a box score right now. Up until 5 minutes ago, I hadn't looked at this thing. It didn't matter. All I knew was some of the scoring numbers. I knew P.J. Haggerty had 23 points because I was anchoring the morning show sports. I needed to know those things. It was just more about the post-game press conference, and to quote some other people, Jerome Tang, is, quote, digging himself a bigger hole because of his post-game reaction. For me, it starts after the West Virginia game. I want to play the full clip. I want to make this very clear that I'm not cutting anything out. I'm not twisting words or cutting up different comments, putting it together for my own agenda. This was Jerome Tang after the West Virginia game about the rules, keep changing, and because of that, there's really no plan in place.
As the head coach of the program that will be on that level year in and year out. And I ain't figured that out yet because they keep changing the rules on me, right? Like once they get the rules set, right, like then I can have a consistent plan because there are 3 guys that should be on my roster right now that are not on my roster because the rules changed, okay? And and that's not even the guys who are injured, okay? So if they will give me consistent rules, then I know how to move forward and operate. And now we'll figure it out because I got a staff that we're relentless. We don't stop, and so if we can bring G League players in, I want to do it. I want to find a judge in Kansas that's going that's a K-State judge that's going to give us that's what they're doing elsewhere. No matter whatever they're going to allow us to do, I want to do, or stop everybody from doing it, and let's all proceed the same way, and so, but I just give me some consistent rules and we're going to get it done, but we're going to figure this thing out.
So that was the one quote that was 55 and a half seconds from after the West Virginia game that caught the attention of local and I would say media in Wichita, Kansas City, not so much nationally. It was after the game on Sunday yesterday that it started to catch some national attention. It was mocking. It was feeling sorry for K-State fans. This is how the press conference opened up. Well, I shouldn't say opened up. It was Coach Tang had a few statements to talk about a few things. Then taking questions. The first question was what disappointed you the most about the performance today against Iowa State coming from Kellis Robinette, and there was 2 5-word quotes that were the most notable out of this game. One of them from Coach Tang.
I'm not disappointed at all.
I'm not disappointed at all. And we'll go a little bit further on that as well. The second 5-word quote that I want to bring up here is from Jacob Pullen, who had not tweeted anything other than a retweet back on December 15th, had not tweeted since September 13th of 2025. He decides to get back on Twitter and say, it's hard to watch, honestly. And then he follows it up with, embarrassing to say the least, the effort, the energy, the defense, the offense. I never thought I'd see the day where Iowa State beat us by 35 at home. I think I lost once in my career to them. Jacob Pullen is jumping back on social media because it got to a point where he couldn't anymore not say something on social media about where K-State men's basketball is currently at. And real quick, Tim, I do want to get to a couple more quotes here from Jerome Tang. There was it wasn't the same question. There was one right after, but then a little down the road, there was more just talking about disappointment. And then he was asked why he wasn't disappointed after the loss.
I'm with these dudes every single day, and I know everything that they're going through, and y'all don't. And so I was proud of our guys, especially in the second half.
And then there was another comment about where he's actually more disappointed in himself than anything.
I'm more disappointed in me as a coach and the game plan for the first half than I am for the players for their execution.
Now, Tim, in my opinion, this really wasn't maybe that first answer. It was just so short, and it's like, how can you not be disappointed? Your team just lost by 34 to a rival. How could you not be disappointed? To me, that wasn't the most digging yourself in a hole comment.
No.
But how could you not be disappointed, especially since Iowa State came in and it was 24-6 before you could even blink an eye, and it was from the get-go, K-State didn't belong on the same floor as Iowa State?
Well, it's obvious that we've reached a point kind of where we got in last football season, honestly, where the writing is on the wall about kind of what this team is and what their capabilities are. And he knows that after a 30-point loss at home, I'm sure that he's, wants to avoid players quitting, either overtly or And do I think that, running down specific players is helpful in that scenario? Probably not. But to just say that you're not disappointed at all with them after that type of performance, coming directly after losing by 25 to your biggest rival at home, where you also said that we're not going to let that happen again. Now, maybe that he meant that just versus KU. It seemed tone deaf. I'm sure that there's one more clip that's coming that will kind of reverberate on that tone deaf nature. I don't know. I mean, I understand that, like, the priority is for him is the players and just kind of getting them through this time and trying to figure out a way through the next month. It's going to be a long month. But it was still a wild thing to hear.
Well, and I never would have expected Jerome Tang to just come out and say, "Look, guys, this is awful. This is not what I planned," and just go on and either bury himself or bury the team. Because you're right. I mean, I would never see him ever doing that. He wants to keep the guys bought in, which I would say I think they are to a certain extent still bought in. The body language is getting much worse. It wasn't great all the time, but it's clearly getting much worse. It started with the Utah game. I started seeing some things here and there from the players that, maybe they're a little bit annoyed about not getting the ball or getting a pass or something. And then fast forward to the next couple of games, guys are clearly getting annoyed with each other from making mistakes. And they're starting to shrug their shoulders or, like, bob their head a certain way. And then Andre Kostic, there was a video going around earlier today or even yesterday of him not getting the ball, and he's like, "Come on, man, come on, give me the ball." It's like that kind of reaction, which, we could argue all day about Andre should have been playing more. You're paying him all this money. You bought out his contract in Europe. Why is he not playing more? He could be this great player. There's NBA talks about him. We could argue all day about that, but him to always get the ball and shoot it, look, he's had opportunities. He's not making them. He had a nice 2-game stretch where he did knock down some shots, and for a week or two, he got to be the fan favorite. That's pretty much it. Nobody is not guilty of, in some way or another, being a problem. Has led to the lack of success. I still put it way more on coaching. It is way more on coaching. Because I want to get to this clip now. It's another 46-second clip. I didn't edit anything out. I kept it the way it is, so there's no confusion about my agenda if I have one. Here's Jerome Tang, because right now the fans are obviously furious. They are calling for Jerome Tang's job. It's now $18 million. What's the difference between 18.5 and 15.5? Let's get this done. Can somebody buy out this contract? Can it be done? Can we negotiate down his buyout? Because for a lot of people, it was this point in time, getting embarrassed by Iowa State from the get-go on national television, that it was just the final straw. And this has honestly probably been coming for a long time, but this was the final straw. After 3 years, and this coming from Mason Voth, after 3 years of disappointing basketball, don't you think you owe the fans an explanation? And here was the full answer from Jerome Tang.
It doesn't matter what I think, because whatever I say, y'all are going to take whatever you want to and clip it the way you want to and post it the way you want to so you can get the clicks that you need. And so it doesn't matter what I say. What matters is what I'm doing with these young men on the floor in practice every day in their daily lives to help them continue to move forward. And then, because this is the crew that I brought in, right? And this is the crew I wanted to roll with, right? And if we're not good enough at the end of the season, right, then we will figure the thing out for the next thing. But no, I don't feel like I need to give an explanation to our fans right now. I want them to know that I'm working really hard, and I'm not proud. I'm not happy with the results, but I am proud of the young men that we brought in.
Okay, so, I mean, right off the surface there, I mean, I have two things I want to say about that. One, what he's saying there at the end, I don't feel like I should give them the explanation yet. The season is not over. Because what that explanation would mean is it's not, the players aren't going to want to hear that. The season's over type of thing. It's a tuck your tail between your legs and admit that I messed up type of explanation, most likely. But kind of bearing the media there. A K-State media, if it's either the game, K-Man, the Mercury, K-State Online, Go Power Cat, Wyatt Wheeler of the Topeka Capital Journal. Also, I believe he also writes for Salina, right? Mm-hmm. I know I'm going to forget somebody
the Eagle,
here.
The Star.
The Eagle, the Star, Kellis Robinette for sure. I
Other
think,
TV folks.
I think we've all been, for the most part, absolutely fair.
Yeah.
This whole time, nobody has ever had an agenda or was seeking out to twist the words of Jerome Tang to make this recent run, this 3-year run of K-State men's basketball look worse than it is. Everybody's seeing what's going on. Everybody can watch the post-game press conference. By the way, isn't that what a press conference is for? Mm-hmm. Maybe a message or to talk to the people or express feelings or say whatever needs to be said. That's a way to talk to the people or to the media. Like, isn't that the media is reporting for the people? I think that's what that whole thing is for. If not, what are we doing?
Yeah.
We could leave it to the radio stuff and that's it. I mean, I'm sure it's getting hard for Wyatt to keep asking the same questions. It's kind of the same old every time. Oh, we stink again. How do we get over this thing, Those questions are irrelevant now. This is no more a game-by-game breakdown. This is no more of, defensively you had a rough first half. How do you fix that, I understand someone still want to ask those questions, but they're super irrelevant at this point. But I didn't like the dig at the media. If that was a reference to the response of the West Virginia game, I didn't see any opinions out there that were off the mark. And what I felt, or what I said and what I felt in my response after that game, I still think was absolutely warranted, and I did not lie 1 second. I thought it was pretty on the money about that. I thought it was all fair. It is to me, it was all fair. So, look, if I've been misleading people this whole time, I apologize for that, but I don't think I have been. And I think everybody's been pretty much on the money. So I did not appreciate that tone, did not appreciate that message. Nobody's cutting up audio a certain way. This isn't politics. This isn't the national media. I don't have no clue if anybody's out there doing that. It's clear that K-State men's basketball is a major down point right now, and nobody has to twist anything to tell that story.
No, and this is where it gets sad, in my opinion. I think that the way that Bruce went out, especially the farewell press conference that he gave the morning of being fired over Zoom, was very rough and raw, and lots of fingers were pointed in a lot of directions, including at the media, including at fans. That was not a great moment for him, and honestly, it's probably still going to take him some time to fully rebuild kind of some of the bridges that he set on fire on his way out there. But he never did anything like that while he was a sitting head coach. He had a blame problem, and he threw it on the officials, and he did. But he always tried to give some kind of explanation, some kind of answer. To say that the fans don't need something, well, then the fans don't need to show up for the rest of the year.
I'm blown away. 8,000.
Yeah,
8,000 was the announced attendance.
1-7 going into Sunday's game, and 8,000 people showed up.
I think there was 4 figures in students.
Yeah, it was great. It was great attendance.
Jim Wooldridge didn't have those kind of attendances sometimes, and he would still, in bad seasons, beat some top 25 teams.
Yeah, so it's just it is a real. it is. I mean, it is what it is. It is a loser mentality that we're on right now. Like it is. You're trying to batten down the hatches. You're trying to. I mean, there's nothing to play for anymore, short of winning the Big 12 tournament, which this team will not do. They'll be lucky to win the first game of the tournament. They'll be lucky to win one more game. Period. This season's over. It's done. Like this is all, rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic at this point. Like we're all going down. Now, whether or not the money can be brought together or whether or not he has to completely clean house.
What was the Office episode? The meeting of the 5 families?
Yeah.
Let's get everybody together. Let's talk about this issue
Yes.
and see what we can do about it in a short amount of time. Can we meet at the Shamrock and just say, all right, I'm in for this amount of money. All right, I'm in for this amount of money. $18.5 million is, one of the largest buyouts. And I think maybe somebody wrote about this. Like if this was to happen, it would be one of the largest buyouts in college basketball history or something like. I would have. Don't quote me on that. Yeah. I want to go double check that just to make sure. But I feel like I saw that somewhere. Maybe Gavin can get on that. But I knew last year, like if it would have happened after last year, where Jerome Tang's buyout sat was the 12th largest in the country.
Yeah.
Just where contracts were at that moment at the end of last year, the 12th largest. And that's coming off, the Rays coming after the second year where, Jerome Tang is interviewing for the Arkansas job. He had meetings at the Final Four. And, that spins into K-State fans begging for Gene Taylor to get something done. It does get done, but on top of more money and a larger buyout, he wanted the guarantee of more NIL money from the donors and, from whoever. And he got everything he asked for.
He got it all. And it's worth pointing out because, with everything that he said and in clips that were not played that you can listen to, he talked about, look, Iowa State's just better than us. They're physically better than us. Well, whose fault is that, Jerome?
We got an update here. Go ahead, Gavin.
I was just saying Jerome Tagg's buyout contract would be the largest. The previous one was $14.7 million by Wake Forest head coach Danny Manning.
How about that?
How about that? Old Danny.
Is is Wake Forest basketball, have they really been good since?
Well, I hired Steve Forbes. I think they've maybe been okay. I really don't know.
Well, I was listening.
That's John Curry.
Well, I mentioned, the basketball, the radio interview after the game yesterday, and Jerome Tang, he didn't say anything like this in the press conference afterwards, but talking to Wyatt and Stan, he talked about, we just need to narrow the talent gap with these guys. And I remember hearing that in the car. I wish I would have pulled the clip. I'll try to do that a little bit later on in the show. I should have done that. I'm sure we could get it here quick or during the break or whatever. But when I heard that, I almost pulled over and screamed. I was like, well, no kidding. But, the way you guys recruited, that should have been – the differences are they've retained guys, and that's a big part of their success.
Yeah.
But it's not like – this program, they haven't done a good job recruiting as in like top 100 talent. They got like 6 guys in the On3 top 100 over the last 2 seasons. It's not like they didn't recruit talent.
TJ Otzelberger knows how to compile a roster.
Oh, TJ wanted to rock bottom and then people's elbow.
Yeah.
Jerome Tang, he wanted to make a statement in Bramlage. That's why the starters didn't come out till like a minute 45 before that game ended. It was already 30 plus, folks.
Yeah.
The game was over. K-State was not making a comeback. We knew that. The starters don't come out until after the 2-minute warning.
It's what happens when you make a donkey of yourself.
All right, we got to take a break. I do want to get more into the fan explanation. I think there's layers to this. It started with the introductory press conference. Does Jerome Tang owe an explanation to the fans? I do want to talk more about that in hour number 2 as we will speak with Wyatt Thompson at 5:10. When we come back, though, I do want to get to K-State women's basketball.
Absolutely.
Even though a program right now that is just, a game above 500, they're a 500 team in conference play, somebody said that they suck on social media, and I beg to differ.
That's wrong.
And plus, somebody's been freed.
That's right.
That's coming up next. You're listening to Wildcat Insider on KMAN.
You're listening to Wildcat Insider.
The annual fan favorite wine night is back in Bramlage Coliseum. For only $15, you can order your package to see the Cats host Oklahoma State on Tuesday, February 10th. Package includes a K-State wine stopper, access into the Shamrock Zone pregame, plus a ticket to the Oklahoma State game. Visit kstatesports.com/tickets or call 1-800-221-CATS to get yours today. Go Cats!
Every guy deserves a proper fit for his wedding or formal event, so why go anywhere other than a men's store for his wedding apparel? Come to the experts at Bork Brothers Menswear, a store that truly knows how to fit men. We specialize in tuxedo and suit rentals and sales, featuring the latest fashions and colors, and now the new Dutton Western collection. Rent or purchase with confidence from Manhattan's leading menswear and wedding apparel experts. Bork Brothers Menswear, Seth Chalk Commons, or online at borkbrothers.com.
Game day starts before kickoff. Get ready for the big game with help from Menards. Find great deals on sofas and recliners to keep guests comfortable all game long. Score big savings and stock up on game day goodies. Shop a variety of snacks and drinks to keep your party fueled up. Make Menards a part of your game plan. Shop in store or on Menards.com and save big money.
Save big money at Menards.
Blueville Nursery's Horticulture Hints radio show comes to your radio every Friday morning at 10 a.m. We will discuss timely gardening and landscape topics to help you keep your lawn and garden in tip-top shape. Blueville Nursery has been your local landscape service and garden store for over 50 years, and we want to share our time-tested techniques with you. From vegetable gardening, spring and summer annuals, to shade trees and lawn care, we'll cover it all. You're welcome to call into the show to ask questions that apply to your own landscape or garden. Stay tuned to Blueville Nursery's Horticulture Hints radio show every Friday at 10 a.m. right here on News Radio KMAN.
Standing at the edge of a rocky shore, you breathe in the cool, salty air, watching the sun disappear on the horizon. Across the globe, someone begins their day along a sandy beach, listening to the rhythm of the crashing waves. You each envision a world beneath the water, vibrant life in every imaginable form. Now, imagine it's all gone. What was once a place of wonder and beauty is now a dull, lifeless wasteland. Food, jobs, medicine, all gifts from the ocean, all gone. Time is running out to protect our oceans, and without our love, everything the oceans provide can and will disappear. It's our choice. Love it or lose it. Help protect our oceans. Visit World Wildlife Fund at wwf.org/love.
In many countries around the world, medical care is scarce. Countless millions have no access to safe surgery. Mercy Ships is there to help. Mercy Ships provides free surgeries for the thousands of those who are waiting for surgery at each port.
Mercy Ships is bringing services to countries that would otherwise never be able to access those services.
Find out how you can help by visiting our website at mercyships.org. That's mercyships.org.
For area high school scores, recaps, league standings, and coach interviews, check out Scoreboard Saturday at 8 a.m. during football and basketball season, including coverage of the Centennial League, NCKL, Big East League, Flint Hills League, and the Twin Valley League. Scoreboard Saturday on News Radio KMAN is powered by WTC Communications.
I'm Gavin Hyatt with a Wildcat Insider Sports Update brought to you by Bottle Cap Sports Bar. K-State men's basketball fell to Iowa State 95-61 on Sunday, falling to 1-8 and in Big 12 play and 10-12 on the season. The 34-point loss was its third-worst home loss in program history and second-worst at Bramlage. The Cyclone used a 22-4 run to go up 24-8 early in the first half, and by the 6:29 mark, they led 37-13. They would stretch the lead to 32 at one point in the first half, going to the locker rooms with a 50-21 lead. The Wildcats showed a bit of resistance early in the second, cutting the lead to 23, but the Cyclones would quickly go on an 11-2 run and go on to lead by as many as 39 points. PJ Haggerty led K-State with 23 points. The Wildcats have a midweek bye and are back in action on Saturday at TCU with pregame at 12 and tip at 1 on News Radio KMAN. K-State women's basketball shot 51% from the field and 60% from 3 to give Arizona State its first home loss on the season on Sunday, taking down the Sun Devils 74-67. Taryn Sides was the team leader, scoring 21 points on just 5 shots. She finished 5 of 5 from the field and 3 of 3 from 3. They're back in action against Arizona on Wednesday with pregame at 6:30 and tip at 7 on News Radio KMAN.
Wildcat Insider continues. Mitch Fortner and Tim Everson along with Gavin Hyatt, Cole Dutchendorf. Want another excuse here for the K-State men. Over the last 3 games, K-State is averaging 59 points per game. For all college basketball teams over the last 3 games, that 59 points per game is the 7th worst in the nation. Below them is Gardner Webb, San Diego, Colorado State, Hampton, Air Force, and dead last, the team K-State lost to last week in West Virginia at 55 points a game. Who knows where we'd be if the Cats just beat West Virginia?
Kill me.
Let's get to K-State women's basketball. Tim, that's who you cover.
Yeah.
And you know what? Sometimes this team just loves to surprise you once in a while. Even without Tess Heel, who missed 3 games, which we got good news on her here in just a moment. Going to Arizona State. Arizona State is a team that right now I would say is a bubble team. I think that's where I saw them last on Bracketology, a bubble team. They got a new head coach. You know, K-State playing without Tess Heel is one thing. And, you know, K-State is taking their lumps here lately because they only scored 47 in a loss to Colorado. Coming back with Zy Walker, she finishes with a double-double. K-State went on the road to Lawrence, 8 days ago, and lost by 22 to the Jayhawks. And the Jayhawks haven't been necessarily the best team, but they like wins and losses, but they are a very good shooting team. Did take that away. They knocked down some shots. And then the Cats go on the road and play at Arizona State, and they win 74-67. Tim, give me the breakdown on this one. How did the K-State women get this done without their best scorer in Big 12 play?
Yeah, I mean, they hit shots. I mean, that's kind of the biggest thing. They weren't, they didn't particularly take care of the basketball super well. It's not like they rebounded terribly well, but they hit, 12 threes, which was the second most of Big 12 play so far this season. Nastia Glossen's had a big game. Taryn Sides had a big game. They got production off the bench from Jordan Spicer and from Mizella Arenas. And they were able just to kind of, they built a big lead. They played really good zone defense, especially in that first half. And then early in the second half, Arizona State really couldn't do anything. They weren't knocking down any shots. They built like a 24, 25-point lead. And then they were able to kind of hang tough as Arizona State tried to make a comeback in the fourth quarter. But they didn't get closer than 7 points. And, yeah, they walk away with a really, really nice road win against a team that's had a lot of success this year. It's struggled a little bit in Big 12 play, but definitely a big win for a team like that needed it, like K-State.
Taryn Sides nearly made everything that left her hand yesterday. Other than one free throw, she was completely perfect from the field, from 3, from the free throw line, 21 points. 18 and 12 from Nastia Klassens, and also in double figures, 12 from Jordan Spicer and Isela Arenas with 11 points. She's starting to knock down her shots once again. We saw that a little bit in the non-conference. She's had her ups and downs as well. But we also got, by the way, real quick, K-State is 12 and 11. They're 5 and 5 in the Big 12. Look, I'm telling you, there's a chance. There's a chance. Because right now, K-State, their net is top 65.
Yeah.
For a team that's 12 and 11, that's a pretty good spot to be in. They had a tough non-conference. And now K-State, if they could just go on a run with Tess Heel back, that would be amazing. Like, there is an opportunity here for K-State. It's still slim. It still would be very tough to get there. They're the third youngest team in America. They are definitely learning through mistakes, hopefully. Jeff Mittie, I'd heard him. I don't think I'd heard him so positive after a press conference, except maybe after Texas Tech.
Yeah.
He was very positive about the way the team played. But we need to see them bring it at home. Mm-hmm. It feels like they're a different team at home. When they're on the road, I think that's when they play their best basketball. For whatever it is, when they're at home, they're just not as solid. They're not as timely. The shots just aren't falling. So I don't know if it's just kind of weird to me how that works.
It is weird. No, it absolutely. And as someone who covers them every game and has to go to press conferences and talk to the players after home games, would love for a win because they're a lot happier and will say a lot more things after a win. But yeah, they're in a good spot. I think that, look, even if you don't make the NCAA tournament, which is it is on the table, at least for this team, even if it is kind of a long hope, the fact that they seem like that they're gonna have some kind of postseason play is fantastic, because with this many young players, being able to add 2-3 more games onto the season and get kind of a postseason environment. I mean, maybe if you play well enough, maybe you can host a couple of those WNIT games. That would be cool. That would be best case scenario. And then, you got to hope that you can hang on to this core. That's going to be the challenging thing, is that you gotta keep Jordan Spicer here. You got to keep Gina Garcia. You got to keep Brandy Harrod. And then you got to find a way to build around those guys, because that's, if you're able to keep that core of players, you got to keep Ivana Skecic, which she's been a fun, like, not super impactful.
She definitely looks better,
but
right?
she is able to give K-State some of that needed depth down low that they just started the season absolutely without. And Janessa Cotton has been up and down, or Maya Wyatt has been up and down. So she's a legit center that, man, you get her a little stronger, that's going to be a real option for you going down the road. You can see, and this is the difference between the men's team and the women's team. Looking at this team, if they're able to keep the pieces together, you see where this can grow into something that is special. Like, you're not there this year. You're coming off of a fantastic run. You lost a bunch of those players. They brought in a bunch of talent that this team can grow with and that the fans can fall in love with, as long as you're able to keep them here and as long as you keep building around them and keep growing. Sky's the limit. It's fantastic to watch. It's fun to watch. Not fun all the time. I think that Jeff Mittie would tell you that he's probably aged more this season than he has in quite a while. But I am excited to see how, just like how we were able to see Serena Sundell and the Glenn twins kind of grow into being the core of that team with Iokali, I'm excited to see what this team is able to do if they're able to stay together over the next 3 seasons.
And by the way, Tess Heel, she has been reinstated. Her suspension is over. She will play on Wednesday against Arizona. The Cats just remain on the road. They're going to be at the Wildcats of Arizona Wednesday, 7 o'clock for that tip-off. And then they're back in Bramlage this Saturday, 4 o'clock against the BYU Cougars.
Big test.
Try to go on a run before Oklahoma State comes into town, and that's going to be a very tough out against J.C. Hoyt's team that is doing a very solid job this season. And then they go back-to-back with Iowa State in Ames, Iowa, that following Sunday. All right, we take a break. When we come back, last week the Manhattan Mercury releasing an article about the state of money, college sports, and the Wild West with Gene Taylor. That's coming up next on Wildcat Insider.
You're listening to Wildcat Insider.
I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise. This year's Super Bowl matchup between the Patriots and Seahawks is one of the more improbable preseason pairings in recent memory. And most of the credit will go to the new coaching staffs and the development of each team's quarterback, and deservedly so. But the front offices on both sides deserve just as much praise. They're not accidental runs. New England and Seattle have drafted well, but more importantly, they've been aggressive and calculated in free agency. For the Patriots, Milton Williams, Harold Landry, Carlton Davis, helping build one of the league's best defenses, while Stephon Diggs became Drake May's security blanket with a 1,000-yard season. Seattle followed a similar blueprint. Sam Darnold's been a home run. Cooper Kupp delivered when it mattered most in the NFC title game. And veterans on the defensive side like DeMarcus Lawrence and Jaron Reed, proving that this once unimaginable matchup was no accident. It was one that was engineered to perfection at the top. I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise.
Are you living with dry AMD? If so, you could be on the road to geographic atrophy, or GA, a condition that leads to retinal cell death and permanent vision loss. But with Izervay, you can
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay slows GA progression by targeting a key source of retinal cell death, which may help preserve your vision longer. Izervay, or Avastin Captid Pagel, is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com. Paid for by Astellas Pharma.
News Radio KMAN weather.
Sunny skies and 42 degrees in Manhattan with those winds to the northeast around 10 miles an hour. Tonight, mostly cloudy with a low of around 25. Mostly cloudy with a high near 39 on Tuesday. And that night, 20% chance of snow and freezing rain between midnight and 3 a.m. Otherwise, mostly cloudy with a low of around 24. On Wednesday, mostly cloudy with a high near 42. And that night, partly cloudy with a low of around 23.
Real cool beat coming back here. Mitch Fortner, Tim Everson, Gavin Hyatt, Cole Dutchendorf here on Wildcat Insider. Take a look at last week in the Big 12. A couple of notable upsets taking place over the weekend. Or over the last week, we should say. Though we'll get to that here in just a moment. First, last week, the Manhattan Mercury releasing quite an educational article about, it's called The State of Money, College Sports in the Wild West. And that was all with Gene Taylor as Tim... Ned Seaton had another sit-down with another big name for K-State Athletics. This was Athletics Director Gene Taylor to talk about K-State's current situation with name, image, and likeness.
Yeah, really, I mean, if you find yourself, and it's very easy to get in this thing, a little confused about kind of how the money is working in terms of NIL, in terms of revenue sharing, the house settlement, kind of where things stand on that end from K-State's perspective, how that's kind of divvied out between the different sports. That's one thing that is included in there. That's I think kind of enlightening. It's a good read, especially like I said, if you need maybe a little primer on how much college sports has changed and is changing, and kind of what the future needs to be for college sports if a school like K-State is going to be successful moving forward. It's going to take a lot. It's going to take some major decisions made by the powers that be. And in college sports, there's a thing where basically they're trying to get people to sign something that will keep schools from being able to sue the NCAA pending, punishment coming down for cheating. Right now, it's hard to make any punishment stick with any school because they can just kind of sue their way out of it. We've seen it a lot with a lot of the, most recently the G League players coming from the NBA and, playing for college basketball teams just because they have eligibility left. They just find a friendly judge to sue their way basically into being able to play. And we all have to kind of be okay with it. These opt-in contracts would be a good way to kind of level the playing field a little bit. Problem is not everybody is on board for doing that because some people prefer the way that things are done now. And
the state of Texas.
State of Texas, mainly. So it's just interesting. It's interesting to get, for someone who's in a lot of these meetings that you don't get to be in, that us as media don't get to be in. It's good to have his perspective on kind of where things kind of stand moving forward for college sports.
Well, a couple of things from this article I will lay out for you is a couple of things I was very interested in hearing about, and that's first of all, like basically with the $20.5 million of revenue share, how much is each sport getting? Yeah, because there's averages out there on like just the power program average on how much a program is going to get based on the percentage of that $20.5 million. And what K-State does is they go by percentage of the department's revenue that they bring in, like what sports bring in. And, give you a men's basketball perspective here on how much Jerome Tang is getting to pay for this team to stay in his budget with this $20.5 million. It is believed the national average is 15 to 18%. That's the average. K-State men's basketball is getting 18%. They're getting the high end of that power program average. So Jerome Tang, that tells you that he's getting more money than others.
Yeah.
It's been reported, and it wasn't first from us, it's just been reported that K-State is getting a top 25 budget to recruit the last couple of seasons. That's when Jerome Tang and company really kicked it into high gear of using NIL money to benefit them building a roster. Football is getting 72.5%. Again, that's about, it's not exact numbers, but it's about 72.5%. Women's basketball getting 5%. And, just from what I've gathered, if it was maybe a little bit more than that, potentially K-State was able to go out and get one of those better fives, a center, somebody to play the five. But like we've heard in previous interviews and from other places, that it was a really crazy year for the portal when it comes to transfer bigs. And then the remaining of the sports, and you're talking about the majority of the athletes here, if you wrap in all the other sports and all these individuals, these student athletes, 4.5% is divided up, and that includes baseball. And I got to say, I don't know exactly what the market is like nationally for baseball and recruiting the portal. I think with what Pete Hughes and crew have as a budget, and now, of course, a lot more scholarships on the table, which I'm sure he'll be asked about that in Media Day on Wednesday. That's all very impressive.
Yeah. About
the recruiting they're able to get. It's a top 25 recruiting class coming in via the transfer portal. So, yeah, that's pretty major. Okay, so the other thing I thought was very interesting is how do cheaters get caught? I thought that was a great question from Ned. And basically what Gene says is, so apparently there's an anonymous tip line.
Yeah.
That basically schools can rat out other schools about their cheating. If they suspect cheating, they can be, hey, you guys might want to look into those jabronis in Lawrence. I think they're cheating. And so they can look into that, the powers that be, and they can go from there. But, yeah, it's very hard right now for the College Sports Commission to rule on any of these third-party situations of NIL to really gauge if anybody's cheating, because it's not being enforced around college athletics because not everybody has signed that paperwork to agree to this College Sports Commission doing their job. So, until that's done, K-State is going to be at a disadvantage until that gets done. K-State's all aboard, so are the other schools in Kansas. So, but there's a lot more to this story. It's a great educational piece. I'm even learning something still. Go to themercury.com or newsradiokman.com. Find the story called State of Money, College Sports, and the Wild West with Gene Taylor. It's another phenomenal read from the Manhattan Mercury. With that being said, we got a couple of more minutes here. Last week in the Big 12, College Game Day was in Lawrence on Saturday, and KU, man, holy crap. They took it to BYU. It was BYU starting to make a comeback. KU was up as many as 21 points in this game, and they hang on 90-82. It was Darren Peterson versus AJ DeBonsa for the first half.
Yeah.
Didn't appear. Devin Peterson didn't play a whole lot. As a matter of fact, somebody pointed out that a deputy AD came onto the floor during a timeout during the game to talk to Darren Peterson about something. It's like if K.C. Scott got out of his chair from K-State and went onto the floor and started talking to P.J. Haggerty around the hoop. Like, what are we doing here? What is that all about?
Things have improved in Lawrence quite a bit, but there's still quite a bit of nervousness surrounding Darren Peterson's situation and how that's being handled and who's pulling what strings behind the scenes. And it'll be interesting to see going forward because they need him to be one of the best teams in the country.
For sure, and KU's red hot right now. I believe they've won 5 straight. They're 16-5. Meanwhile, K-State's getting laughed at. Number 11, Texas Tech goes into Orlando. They lose to UCF 88-80. UCF was so good on the boards in this game. The Knights have now won 3 consecutive Big 12 games for the first time since joining the conference. How about Johnny Dawkins?
Yeah.
Proving people wrong, including me.
Just $3 million in NIL put together that roster, which
you're kidding me. How about that?
Yeah, must be nice.
By the way, according to the numbers that we just gave you, K-State men's basketball through their $20.5 million, what they're getting is roughly, according to the numbers, is a little less than $4 million.
Yeah, and that's not including any extra NIL stuff that was given before the deadline.
Hour 2 of Wildcat Insider. Wyatt Thompson joins us next.
In Manhattan, building community means more than bricks and beams. It means innovation and partnership. At McCown Gordon Construction, we deliver feature-focused solutions to projects that shape our region. From advanced research labs to vibrant education, healthcare, and community hubs. We're not just building projects, we're building the future of the Flint Hills with unmatched customer experience and value-driven strategies. We're building for tomorrow. Visit kansas.mccown-gordon.com.
Manhattan Broadcasting is an equal opportunity employer. In order to widely publicize our job opportunities and outreach programs and organizations that regularly distribute information to job seekers or refers candidates to employers, please contact us about our employment contact list to receive the most current information about station vacancies. For more information or to be added to the list, please contact Manhattan Broadcasting Company at 785-776-1350. Visit us at 2414 Casement Road in Manhattan, Kansas, or email frontdesk at 1350kman.com.
Manhattan Broadcasting is keeping it local. Dollars spent locally today help build a better community for tomorrow.
Quality Collision is still open for business while they improve the intersection by the dam. Dodging a few orange cones is worth it to receive quality restoration. Keep your car looking as good as the day you bought it. Quality Collision, where quality is more than their name. It's a promise to their customers.
Connect to anywhere in the world with daily flights to Dallas and Chicago when you fly local with Manhattan Regional Airport. You'll spend less time driving, saving you gas and time, and more importantly, you'll get home quicker to the ones you love. Click your next flight at flymhk.com.
Baskin-Robbins, locally owned in downtown Manhattan, has the flavors you crave. From classic like chocolate and vanilla to bold faves like pralines and cream, peanut butter chocolate, and wild and reckless sherbet. Scoops, cakes, and shakes. Baskin-Robbins has what you need. A Streeter family business. Our family serving yours.
Manhattan Broadcasting is keeping it local. Find more great local businesses plus special deals and offers when you keep it local on our website.
75 years strong, bringing the news, sports, weather, and conversation. News Radio, KMAN, Manhattan. News Radio KMAN weather.
Currently in Manhattan, 42 degrees and sunny skies with light winds to the east around 6 miles an hour. Tonight, mostly cloudy with a low of around 25 and mostly cloudy with a high near 39. On Tuesday, that night, 20% chance of snow and freezing rain between midnight and 3 a.m. Otherwise, low of around 24 degrees. Mostly cloudy with a high near 42 on Wednesday. That night, partly cloudy with a low of around 23.
K-Man Daily Weather is presented by Fox Business Systems. How much does downtime cost you and your business? Don't let another second go by. Call Fox Business Systems at 776-1452. What is this? Is this some Grammy winner?
It is Timeless by The Weeknd.
Oh, yeah, one of Tim's favorites.
Yep.
Sure.
Did you watch the Grammys last night, Tim?
I skipped it.
Yeah, Lindsay likes the red carpet stuff, and I was like kind of listening to it in the background while I was cutting up some press conference audio at the old house, and then she didn't watch it, but I did want to check out the Ozzy tribute.
Oh, yeah.
They did, they played War Pigs.
Okay.
I say they, Youngblood, I think is his name.
Yeah.
The real up-and-comer out of England.
I'm aware of him vaguely.
Played at Audie's last show, but Duff McKagan and Slash from GNR, Chad Smith from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. There was another guitarist, I'm not sure who it was. It was really good. Post Malone on vocals. I don't know if he would have been my first choice. He wasn't bad.
Yeah.
I'm not praising him like a lot of other people were on social media, but he wasn't bad. Somebody did point out, though, he's trying to bring all fans of genres, or all fans together one genre at a time.
That is true. He is.
It's hilarious to me. That is kind of true, yeah.
I'll have to check that. That I would be interested to see that. I wasn't super interested in the rest.
But at the same time, I started watching the red carpet stuff with Lindsay a little bit, and everybody that was coming up, I'm like, I have no idea who these people are. Is this just me getting old? Is that the sign?
I mean, I'm in the same place.
I probably didn't know 80% of them.
Yeah. I'm happy for the kids.
Well, Youngblood was like at one point because he won actually the Back to the Beginning show, Ozzy's last show, won a Grammy for Best Performance.
Oh, okay.
Is when he covered it was, I don't remember what Ozzy song it was, but he covered an Ozzy song, won a Grammy for it. It was his first. He says look out, pop music, rock and roll's back, and we're coming for you. Like, yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Great.
Let's go. I don't know if he's the leader of this group. Again, I think he's really famous in England right now, United States. Maybe a little bit behind right now, but that's actually kind of an old school climb to fame.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, look, I would love for there to be, some sign of life in rock music, in mainstream rock music. So.
Well, on Sunday, the K-State women got it done, 74-67 over Arizona State. The K-State men, they tipped off and was pretty much over from the get-go. K-State falling to Iowa State 95-61. Does the people does Jerome Tang owe an explanation to the people? We'll talk about that a little bit later on. But now we're going to speak to the voice. The voice of the K-State Wildcats, that is Wyatt Thompson, who joins us each and every Monday at 5:10 here on Wildcat Insider. Wyatt, I am going to guess you did not tune in. You're probably not an award show guy, are you?
I was at one time, but I heard you guys talking there, waiting to get on with you. And if you think you're old and behind the times, you with not knowing the acts, you should be in my shoes for about 5 minutes.
Well, let me test something out here. Let me try something here because there was a concert announcement. I just want to see if earlier today. I want to see if you know these bands. They're rock and roll bands. Have you ever heard of the Stone Temple Pilots?
Yes.
Okay. Have you ever heard of? I can
possibly tell you one song that they did, but I know the name.
Okay. Have you ever heard of Godsmack?
No, sir.
No?
No.
Okay. Have you heard of Dorothy, the band?
No.
Okay. So those are the three bands that were announced for a show in Kansas City today. Broke the news on K-Rock. So one out of the three. So music can be definitely generational about how much we keep up with it.
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely. I even talked to my son, and we were talking about the upcoming Super Bowl, and I'm not even sure that I got the bunny thing right. Is it Big Bunny, Bad Bunny? What is it?
Bad Bunny, yes.
Bad Bunny, okay. I don't have a problem telling you I absolutely know nothing about Mr. Bunny.
Well, here's what we'll do. Maybe Gavin, who called you, he knows a little bit about Bad Bunny. He can put together a playlist for you. You can listen to it on the way home.
Oh, okay.
I would honestly love to get your feedback.
I will, but I guess if you send it, I'll consider it. How's that?
I would love to start this summer. We'll start a weekly segment called Wyatt Reacts to New Music. And
oh boy.
You can react honestly to it. Honestly, I think it wins a KAB.
You think it might?
It might. I think it'll be good.
Well, it is. I guess the point is that you do have to, whether you're your age or my age or somewhere between us, you do kind of have to keep up with it a little bit. And I haven't probably done a good enough job with most of the different types of music to do that, to be honest. And I don't mind admitting that. I'm kind of busy with what I do, and I just don't pay attention as much as I once did. But when I was young, I watched all of those shows for the most part, like the music awards and that kind of stuff, and, the Oscars and that kind of stuff. I loved that as a kid.
Would you watch shows like American Bandstand and Soul Train and stuff like that?
When I was youthful, I did, yes, absolutely. Uh-huh. I remember, different acts being on there, too, that some people, maybe the younger audience listening to you now, might not know those names. So I guess maybe it all evens out, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Well, let's talk some sports here, Wyatt. Another tough week. We could start in Morgantown about how K-State was certainly in the hunt to win a basketball game. You go on the road. I'm not sure what the crowd was like, but it sounded like there was a few folks there despite the snow that was reportedly happening in Morgantown that day. But the Cats fall short, and up until the Iowa State game, see if you agree with me, right? The biggest storyline was K-State couldn't figure out how to close out wins lately.
Well, especially on the road where you had, a chance at Arizona State and didn't do it, a chance at Oklahoma State and didn't do it. Remember, K-State led that game with less than 5 seconds to play and got beat. And they're up 49-45 in the game in Morgantown, and just didn't make enough plays in the last 3.5 minutes. So there is a lot of frustration there. And then, you talked about following that up with Iowa State, and I heard some of your show in the first hour, and you are right. It was over early. I think we all knew it was going to be a major challenge. I think K-State could play great basketball yesterday and still maybe lose by 15. Don't you think? I mean, Iowa State's that good. K-State has struggled mightily, and it just wasn't the matchup that we probably needed on that Sunday afternoon, frankly.
Well, I guess Tang has said there will be days where it doesn't matter how well you play, the other team's just going to be better, and he did say that a number of times yesterday, that Iowa State's just that good. But I think a sign was Nate Heise, who was under 30% from three for the season, just comes out and drains 3 of them like they were nothing. K-State leaving him wide open probably for a reason, right? Because he's not a threat, and, well, he was on just like everybody else.
Yeah, I think he's been a good piece for them, but the reality of it is he's probably their 8th or 9th guy, honestly, probably 9th or 10th guy, maybe even. He's probably a better shooter than he has shot it this year. But if you go back and look, I think you'll see exactly what you said. He had good looks. K-State was trying to bottle him up and keep him out of the paint and that kind of stuff, and didn't work very well because they hit a lot of threes, and then they got it cooking on really all 3 levels, really, and it was just it was a very, very long and frustrating day for every K-Stater everywhere, man.
This may be a dumb question because I know you're a professional. You're great at what you do. You're a Hall of Famer, for God's sakes. But are you doing a good job at keeping the questions fresh and new for Coach Tang when you guys have these post-game interviews? Because unfortunately, it's been a lot of the same, especially at home, where K-State's not playing very well at home and they're getting blown out.
Well, I guess I would answer that by saying it is harder now, and you know I've been around 20. This is my 24th season, and we've had some years where we were 3-15 in the league or 4-14 in the league, you know. So this isn't brand new to me, but on the other hand, all of these types of seasons are really, really hard, where you have a team that I don't know what your expectations of this group was, but going in, I think most of us felt like, you know, they had some pretty good players. If they could put it all together, maybe they could be, I'll say, middle of the pack Big 12 with a chance to be an NCAA tournament team. Is that anywhere in the hemisphere of what you were thinking?
I mean, that was kind of my idea for them when the season started. Yeah. That's just kind of how I predicted things to be. Like, you got to calibrate a little bit. I don't think they're going to win the Big 12, but they should be a team that does, compete for, you know, maybe not the highest seed, but an NCAA tournament spot. They brought in some, you know, if you go by the recruiting rankings, which some are fans, some are not, but you know, based on those, they brought in 3 top 80 players. They got to spend a little bit of money and brought in some good pieces.
Yeah, and some of those guys have worked out, you know, pretty well. Excuse me, and then others maybe not so much. And I think that's also been, you know, kind of a point of frustration for Cat fans. This has been a real challenge to start the league because I don't think I'm going to say anything here that's going to surprise you or Tim or any of the people driving home, listening, whatever it might be. This team has just kind of gotten overwhelmed in conference play, to be honest. They don't have enough size and depth in the front court, and they've been hurt by, you know, injuries and those types of things. And honestly, they're just not good enough right now to put a quality 40 minutes or close to 40 minutes together to beat most teams in the league most days. And that hurts. There's no doubt about it. I know there are some have questioned the coaching. I get it. They've questioned the talent level. I get it. And it's there are a lot of things out there. I listened to, as I said before, I listened to part of your first hour, and I heard you talk about coaches' comments in the press conference, and that I was surprised by that answer. I did not hear it until later in the night. You know, he comes out and talks to Stan and I, and then Tom takes him back to do that presser, and I was a little surprised by the comments, if I'm going to be honest with you. He probably, I don't want to criticize, that's not what I'm in this for, but he could have probably taken a high road on that, I guess. But I was surprised by it, and I think it just, you know, goes along with all of the other things that have been, you know, pretty darn frustrating here lately, and maddening, actually, to be honest.
Well, I won't put you in a spot to criticize, or I wouldn't do that to you, but you know, there's another trend here, and I do look at this as an issue for K-State, and that is, you know, P.J. Haggerty is P.J. Haggerty in the second half. We're not seeing the talented P.J. Haggerty in the first half, and K-State's getting themselves in trouble in the first half because of the lack of offense. So, I mean, is it to you, is it a lack of efficiency from P.J. in the first half, or are you seeing it as more of a team thing? It's just kind of they're all can be down at times, and it leads to what we've seen here over the last 3 games where K-State's only averaging altogether 59 points a game.
Yeah. Well, let me go back and address the first part that you said there. You know, part of my job is to be asked hard questions, and I respect that, and I'll try to give you answers as best I can that, you know, because there are times when when you're on the microphone and we're seeing what we're seeing now, you still have to be honest with your audience, and I want to be, right? This isn't a very good basketball team right now. They've really struggled, and you can't mask that. Okay, so having said that, to try to answer the next part of that is that you're absolutely on track there. PJ has struggled mightily in the last, what would you say, 3 or 4 or 5 games in the first half to get going, and then in the second half he does. I'm not a basketball coach, but I will tell you that I do think that a lot of the adjustments that they make in the second half gets him off the ball. One of the things that hurt K-State early in the game yesterday was the overplay and the double teaming that Iowa State did. Excuse me. It forced K-State into quite a few early turnovers, and they go from, what was it, a 4-2 lead to a 17-2 run or whatever. And they have think about this. They had a 17-2 run against them and a 20-2 run both in the first half, and then a 13-2 Iowa State run in the second half. So it was a long game.
Do these days, do they remind you of, I know this was a long time ago, but the Jim Woldridge era, for example, that, because whenever anybody in this generation points back to a time where, man, K-State basketball just wasn't good, it seems like it's the old Woolley days when KU's coming in and winning by 35, and, K-State's lucky to get 5 wins in Big 12 play.
That's a very interesting question. I would tell you it doesn't remind me as much of then, and here's why. I think at this particular moment, and I guess I'll preface this by saying I love Jim Woldridge. He was really good to me. I thought he gave really good effort to try to put a good quality product on the floor, but didn't have good enough players. I think K-State has better players now. And some people will question whether that's right or whether it's not. But I would add on top of that, what the Big 12 is today compared to what it was in 2002, 2003 is a little different too, right? I was looking at this today. When this regular season is over, K-State will have played 7 of the top 20 in the net currently. So this is a different animal we're dealing with. Iowa State's 4th in the net, and they're really good. I mean, every metric you look at, they're off the charts. So we got to give them credit too, right? Along with, if you want to criticize K-State, I'm good with that. That's just kind of the way it works. But the league is different and harder and better now than it was then, in my personal opinion. KU was pretty dominant in those days with Roy Williams and then into Bill Self, and it's just. But it was KU and then everybody else. That's not the case now. Those top 5 or 6 teams are just difference-making teams, I think.
Yeah, I thought that was all well said. Those were all great points. Wrap up, even though, yes, things are down, certainly, and, people want to see change and all that. I will never not ask you about the next opponent coming up. But I'm sure it's going to probably feel nice to have a midweek off. K-State would love this time off as well, and TCU on Saturday. Your K-State chances, what do you think they are of pulling off a win on the road and getting their second win in Big 12 play?
Well, it'll be hard. TCU has won 13 games. They're about like K-State at home, maybe just a little better. I think they're 9-5 at home now. They just got dusted on the road yesterday at Colorado, which surprised me a little bit. Like K-State, they've got a lot of new faces. They've got a couple of guys that are back from last year, but they've been up and down in their play. So I think it'll be hard. What I wonder is 2 things. One, what will this little breather do to help them kind of reset? And it may or may not help. I don't know, because you're not going to reinvent the wheel in just a handful of days. I don't mean that. But I do think getting the kids away from it for a couple of days and then kind of starting the process again could be a little bit of a refresher. And on top of that, secondarily, I'm just wondering out loud here, what are the chances? I'll say that again. What are the chances that maybe Kamari, McGriff, and or Elias Rapia could play Saturday? I would think it would augment K-State's chances of victory if those 2 guys were possibly available. I don't know that they will be. I don't know that they won't be. But it would help just because I think they're playing so shorthanded.
All right, Wyatt, as always, good stuff. Good to talk to you. Good to see you. And we'll be talking to you again here very, very soon. I appreciate your time. Have a good midweek off.
Absolutely. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it.
Voice of the Cats, Wyatt Thompson, joining us here on Wildcat Insider. Let's take a break. When we come back, more on the press conference from Jerome Tang after yesterday's loss to Iowa State, including the controversial the controversial comment after the game about does he owe an explanation to the fans right now? And we'll get his answer when we come back. You're listening to Wildcat Insider.
You're listening to Wildcat Insider.
Whether it's game day or a night out with great live music, Bottle Cap Sports Bar delivers the atmosphere you're looking for. It's Manhattan's go-to spot for catching every Wildcats or Chiefs game and enjoying live music that plays the songs you actually know. Come early for a good seat, great music, and cold drinks served up right. Stay in the loop. Check out their Facebook page for the full schedule of events. Bottle Caps, where the music's live, the game's always on, and the vibe is just right.
Bottle Cap Sports Bar located on West Anderson across from Dairy Queen.
When severe weather rolls in, every second counts, and we're here to keep you ahead of the storm. Count on us for the latest alerts, live updates, and real-time tracking to help protect you, your family, and your property. From heavy rain and damaging winds to hail and dangerous storms, we'll guide you through the changing conditions and keep you informed when it matters most. Powered by Candlewood Veterinary Clinic, Manhattan Wrecker, Hummel Tree Service, Tallgrass Windows, and Ozone Roofing.
What's up, everybody? Nick Costos here to help you beat the books with Westwood One Sports. The big game coming up on Sunday, Seattle, a 4.5-point favorite against New England. Total of the game, 45.5, and the total has been dropping over the weekend. So if you like the over in the big game and you think this is going to be a higher scoring game than expected, now's your time to pounce. If you like the under, maybe wait a couple days. Bet smarter and beat the books. Download the BetMGM app today.
Earn an accredited MBA in as few as 16 months for about $21K at University of Maryland Global Campus. Explore 10 specializations, including finance, HR, cyber technology, and more. Plus, showcase the value of your MBA with a comprehensive learner record and digitally demonstrate in-demand skills and credentials to employers. No application fee if you apply by February 11th. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
We are the keepers of the wild, America's original and most invested conservationists. For more than 80 years, we've been committed to conserving wildlife and the natural landscapes that define our nation. From rugged alpine ridgelines to peaceful tall grass prairies, we've supported the conservation of more than 36 million acres of American wildlands. Our funding has led to cleaner water, fresher air, and improved wildlife habitat. From abundant fish and waterfowl populations to robust deer and elk herds, nothing is more important than maintaining wild spaces for adventurers to explore and wildlife to thrive. We are America's hunters and target shooters, stewards of the American outdoors.
America's hunters and target shooters, along with firearm, ammunition, and archery manufacturers, have invested more than $46 billion to help state fish and wildlife agencies manage and protect wildlife and wildlands across America. For more information, visit outdoorstewards.org.
Okay, kids, Dad's gonna teach you how to dance. First, spread your feet apart. Then, pump your knee, nod your head, shake your hips, and bite your lip ever so slightly. Now, with one hand in the air, point at people with the other hand. I call that the rock star.
Dance like a dad. It's a great way to make a moment with your kids.
Now, make a face like it just smells something bad.
Visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
The Wildcats.
Three wide open again, and it's perfect again.
Hit the court.
To the rim, layup good.
Right here.
Yeah. How about these Cats?
Be here every game as the Wildcats pounce the hardwood all season long.
3 seconds, 2, 1. Buzzer, ball game. K-State wins it.
On your home for Kansas State Wildcat basketball, the K-State Sports Network from Learfield. News Radio, KMAN.
I'm Gavin Hyatt with a Wildcat Insider Sports Update brought to you by Bottle Cap Sports Bar. K-State men's basketball fell to Iowa State 95-61 on Sunday, falling to 1-8 in the Big 12 play and 10-12 on the season. The 34-point loss was its third-worst home loss in program history and second-worst at Bramlage. The Cyclones used a 22-4 run to go up 24-8 early in the first half, and by the 6:29 mark, they led 37-13. They would stretch the lead to 32 at one point in the first half, going into locker rooms with a 50-21 lead. The Wildcats showed a bit of resistance early in the second, cutting the lead to 23, but the Cyclones would quickly go on an 11-2 run and go on to lead by as many as 39 points. PJ Haggerty led K-State with 23 points. The Wildcats have a midweek bye and are back in action on Saturday at TCU, with pregame at 12 and tip at 1 on News Radio KMAN. K-State women's basketball shot 51% from the field and 60% from three to give Arizona State its first home loss of the season on Sunday, taking down the Sun Devils 74-67. Taryn Sides was the team leader, scoring 21 points on just 5 shots. She finished 5-5 from the field, 3 of 3 from 3, and 8 of 9 from the free throw line. They're back in action against Arizona on Wednesday with pregame at 6:30 and tip at 7 on News Radio KMAN.
All right, hour 2 of the game of Wildcat Insider continues. I'm Mitch Fortner with Tim Everson from the Manhattan Mercury in Power Cat Game Day. Yesterday, the K-State men lose to Iowa State 95-61. Yeah, no bueno for this men's basketball team, as we have now been accustomed to, and unfortunately it's too much of a pattern. K-State now 8-6 in home games, and in those losses, they've been outscored 506-402. So they've been outscored by over 100 points. That means they're averaging 17 points. That's the difference in those games. They're losing by 17 points per game recently here at home. Let's get back to the Jerome Tang comments from the game last night. Let's get to the one that was the most controversial for the for everybody, basically. It wasn't the 5-word answer about what were you disappointed about, and he says, I wasn't disappointed at all. It was really about the message to the fans. Does Jerome Tang, should he be given a message to the fans? Should he address the fans about not just the struggles this year, but it's been, it's adding up to 3 seasons of disappointing basketball. And here's what Jerome Tang said after the game about if he should or not.
It doesn't matter what I think, because whatever I say, y'all are going to take whatever you want to and clip it the way you want to and post it the way you want to so you can get the clicks that you need. And that's so it doesn't matter what I say. What matters is what I'm doing with these young men on the floor in practice every day in their daily lives to help them continue to move forward. And then, because this is the crew that I brought in, right? And this is the crew I wanted to roll with, right? And if we're not good enough at the end of the season, right, then we will figure the thing out for the next thing. But no, I don't feel like I need to give an explanation to our fans right now. I want them to know that I'm working really hard, and I'm not proud. I'm not happy with the results, but I am proud of the young men that we brought in.
Okay, so that Tang, that quote from Tang gets out there to the social medias, it gets out to the world, and a lot of people are running with this. It's just not us here on K-Man. It's KSO and Go Power Cat. It's those in Kansas City. It's in Wichita. It's going out nationally that Coach Tang doesn't have an explanation for the fans right now as to why this team is suffering and not winning games and continuing not to win games ever since the first year and the run to Elite Eight, plus Jacob Pullen not helping out either, which basically he called the loss yesterday to Iowa State hard to watch and embarrassing. And when the GOAT of men's basketball at K-State, the all-time leading scorer ever in the history of the program, is calling a loss hard to watch and embarrassing, that's not good, obviously. That's a player that we want to put in the rafters someday. I believe, actually, Jerome Tang at one point says he hopes to be here when that uniform goes up in the rafters. He wants to be the coach that makes that happen. Well, odds are it's not going to happen. And if this continues, and obviously the fans are pushing for it to happen now, that Jerome Tang won't be the head coach of K-State men's basketball for much longer, but that's hard to predict based on the buyout, $18.5 million. And it will not drop to under $16 million until after we flip the calendar to May. And by that point, The transfer portal is cooking. The coaching carousel is cooking. It's going to be too late to do anything productive. And that's a topic I think we should definitely talk about later. It's going to happen, I'm sure, at some point this week about what can be done, the options. I think we need to take a moment and we will talk about that at some point. We got a week to fill here, folks. There's no midweek game. The women, they'll play on Wednesday, but there's going to be time to talk about this. I want to specifically talk about, does Coach Tang owe an explanation to the fans? With the first part of my answer to this, Tim, I actually want to go back to a quote from the West Virginia loss, where Coach Tang, we played it earlier, going into, the NCAA keeps changing the rules, and because of that, there's no plan for him in this program. Well, here was the beginning part of that quote.
You get those kind of challenges, and man, you just got to love it as a competitor, right? To go against that, and then as the head coach of this program, the CEO of it, to put together a team and build a program that will be on that level.
All right, so that answer, it all started with a question just talking about Coach, can you give me a word to explain what it's like playing in the Big 12 every day? And it ended up leading to the answer you just heard, and then continue on to talk about the rules keep changing. I don't have a plan. That's because why? Once we get the rules set in stone, I'll be able to make a plan, things like that, which obviously people did not like hearing. And I think that's what kind of led, by my guess, to Coach Tang criticizing the media for potentially twisting his words or taking sound bites and doing whatever they want with them. But did you hear what he called himself during that quote? Head coach, but also CEO.
CEO, yep.
CEO. Do we know what CEO stands for?
Chief Executive Officer.
Is that right?
Yes.
You're right.
Yes.
Chief Executive Officer, which I think by definition that may be more Gene Taylor. But for men's basketball alone, absolutely. Jerome Tang is the CEO of K-State men's basketball. He is the leader of this business. Sports, college sports, it's a business. A lot of money going back and forth. He's making more money than anybody else, as the CEO typically does. Does the CEO owe an explanation to the fans? The fans are giving money, right? You can call them shareholders, investors in the program. I mean, let's go back and let's talk about this relationship between the CEO and the people, the investors, the fans. The introductory press conference. Winning is not going to take long. Came here not to rebuild, but to elevate. Lead K-State to a national championship. Gave fans one court storing. From then on, expect to win. After the second season, interviews for the Arkansas job. Goes to the Final Four in Phoenix. Has meetings there. K-State fans, we begged for Gene Taylor to get something done. Keep Jerome Tang in Manhattan. We were a major voice, right? I say we. I was a part of this on air talking about this. In keeping Jerome Tang, keeping his job here, that led to a raise, a bigger buyout. And by the way, what did Jerome Tang ask for? He wanted more money from the investors, the shareholders, the people, the fans. He wanted more NIL money to be more bought in the newest thing in college athletics, be more invested to get better players and compete at a higher level. He got that. He got what he asked for. And with that, he stays. He's K-State's coach heading into the third season. These last 2 years, including this season, Jerome Tang has had a top 25 NIL budget and has recruited. And going back, I wanted to play this clip for you about how he feels the talent gap wasn't ready for Iowa State. He needs to get it closer.
There are 6 teams in our league that are built differently, and so it's on us to close that talent gap, right? And we can't do that right now, but we will do that.
If you like the rankings or not, the star ratings and all that stuff, based on those, Jerome Tang has recruited over the last 2 years 6 top 100 players. P.J. Haggerty, Coleman Hawkins, Doug McDaniel, Achor Chor, Nate Johnson, Abdi Bashir, 2 more in the top 200, and Ugadon Yinso and Brendan Hansen. We've seen players leave like Dede Ames, who's averaging 17 points a game at Cal. Cam Carter leaving for LSU, who averaged 16 points a game and upped his three-point shooting at 9%. Ugadon Yinso has been pretty decent at Virginia. Heck, a player like Dorian Finister, who barely saw the light of day as a young player, he has improved to where he's averaging 15 points a game for the Louisiana Ragin' Cajuns. Look, ever since that first year, Tang's record is 45-44, 18-29 in Big 12 play. This season at home, I mentioned this earlier, 8-6, losing games by an average of 17 points per game, being outscored over 100 points on those 6 losses so far. And by the way, the shareholders, the investors, the fans, the donors are still showing up. 8,000 announced attendance for Sunday's loss, and these people spent hundreds of dollars, potentially on average, with the ticket prices going up. The parking prices are going up to help keep paying NIL and to keep where our finances you hope they're be, because adding $20 million to the payroll, that's making things go up. And the fans are still showing up. They're still coming out to support K-State, and all these fans showed up to watch K-State lose by 34 points to a rival. Does Jerome Tang owe an explanation to the fans? Yes. Absolutely. Because what these people have bought into for a number of years and had the CEOs back and has invested all this money and all this time, all this effort, they're not getting what they expected. If this was a business, this is a bar rescue situation, because millions of dollars have been handed over to build this money-making operation that should be competing for awards every season, should be a Michelin star operation, and right now it's disorganized. The bartenders don't know how to make drinks consistently. The orders, the food orders are coming out too late. Some don't even care.
Yeah. People are getting drunk on the job. Not literally, of course.
I don't know if the restaurant thing is the best analogy here.
Look,
but it's a business. People are investing. And as a CEO, you owe it's typically an annual thing. Sometimes it's biannual. You owe the shareholders an explanation of what's currently going on with the business. Give us an update. Why is it this way? How do we get better? But the thing is, at the end of the day, at this point, I don't think an explanation does anything, because everybody has already made up their minds that a new CEO needs to be brought in to get better. There's no turning it around. People feel like it's out of time, but the CEO has $18.5 million hanging over his head.
Yeah, and that is the problem, is like this season is done. It is over for all intents and purposes. There is, short of a miracle run through the Big 12 tournament, which will not happen, this season is over. There is no postseason play. With that being over, guys like Nate Johnson will graduate. PJ will probably go pro, if not jump to another team to try and up his draft stock. And then, if Jerome Tang stays, the pattern so far is that he'll keep Taj Manning. Maybe he'll keep David Castillo, although he's raised his, prospect to the point that other teams would want him.
I would say for Taj too.
Probably, yeah. No, for sure. And the rest of the players will either be run off or will leave of their own volition. And this whole thing will start over again, except with a significantly lowered, money pool to build your roster around. Because the fire hose of money that he has gotten the past several seasons is by, for all indications, has been turned off. The the big donors outside of the program, the investors, as you put it, are done. Now, whether they're done enough to, throw $18.5 million down the drain for him to no longer be the head coach or not remains to be seen.
And what the investors are asking for back in using this CEO investor analogy here, this comparison is, in business, you're looking at, I need 20% back in the next 6 months or whatever. I'm just kind of throwing some numbers out there. No, what K-State fans are just asking in return is a chance to win championships or be in the conversation when you get to the Big 12 tournament of being in the field of 68.
Yeah, make the tournament.
That was the ask this season. Just make the tournament. And you don't got to be the best team in the Big 12 to do that.
Nope. You don't have to be the 6th best team, the 8th best team.
In some cases, yes. You don't even have to be in the top half of the Big 12.
You could be the 10th best team.
Look, I when it's all said and done, whenever it happens, it's not. I like Jerome Tang as a person. I think he's an amazing person. He's always had the right ideas of grooming these guys into being a great people, trying to have the best culture for his program. And I mean, so many players still even talk about the culture of Jerome Tang and what he believes in, and that's why a lot of people like him. That's why I think players sometimes decide to come here because of the way Jerome Tang talks, the way he pitches K-State men's basketball. He took the time to learn what K-State men's basketball is all about and become a man of the people. I think he's a great preacher. I think he would have honestly, whenever he's done with coaching, whenever that ends, he'd make a great preacher. And sometimes coaches have shelf lives, it's not meant to be head coaches, things like that. But to just kind of push the fans' interest in wanting to hear that's coming from the media, but for an explanation to the fans and just kind of pushing that aside. Look, deep down, I get where he's coming from. But it was just a bad look to, one, criticize the media, and two, say, just believe in me when it's been over 3.5 years of trying to believe, and every year their money is just being burned in their faces.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I would be exhausted too. I would be tired of, promises were made by Jerome Tang whenever he got here that at a certain point, if he got the amount of investment that he needed to get the roster with the talent that he required that he would be able to compete for a national title. And the donors trusted that vision because we felt like we saw the proof of concept in the first year. Oh, wow, he didn't even have that level of buy-in, and we're an Elite 8 team. And, within an eyelash of the program's first Final Four since the 60s. But since then, for one reason or another, more recently the last 2 seasons because of failures in roster construction, it hasn't come close to that. And K-State does not have the type of donors that, the Texas Techs of the world have, where they just have unlimited money to burn. At a certain point, if those goals aren't being met, then I wouldn't want to waste my money. I don't want to waste my time with these teams, let alone my hard-earned money.
Well, and when I hear these comments, and to be candid with you, like if you try to remember, Jerome Tang is a human being, is very emotionally tied to this job and to these players. Like, honestly, for me, deep down, it breaks my heart to see this struggle. It breaks my heart. It hurts me that this isn't working out because I truly think he cares. I truly think this team cares, and they've tried to make this work. It breaks my heart that it just continues to get worse. I know this is got to be really tough for him and his family.
Yeah.
That this is going wrong. I don't know about him, but I wouldn't be able to sleep. I wouldn't be able to hardly get a wink. He's definitely gone a lot grayer over the last few years. And it hurts to me to see that. Just operationally and the way he's right now conducting things in the press conferences, it's just not there's not a lot he could say, right? That's going to make everything feel better. But right now it's it just feels like a lot of excuses and a lot of denial. Yeah. And those are a couple of things that is obviously going to lead a fan base to just be more pissed off about the situation. But again, it's like a dead man walking situation. There's kind of no way out of it right now. And there's nothing he could say that's going to make anybody feel better.
Well, I mean, you're absolutely right. And it's nice to have that level of compassion in the situation and look at it from that perspective. At the same time, to quote one of my favorite shows in the world, Mad Men, that's what the money's for.
Never seen it.
That's fantastic. That's what the money's for. That's why is Jerome Tang getting paid the amount of money that he's getting paid? And it's quite a lot. It's more than probably the vast majority of the people listening. It is because of you are in high pressure, tense situations. You're dealing with a lot of stuff at once. You're being trusted with a lot of money, with the fate of a multi-million-dollar business, basically, like you would like to bring it back to the CEO thing. You get paid a lot of money to do that, and at the end of the day, despite how much we like him, despite how much, that first year was one of the most fun years of basketball that I will probably ever see in my life.
I got to go on the road, go to the NCAA tournament, both in Greensboro, North Carolina, and New York City.
Me too.
Yeah, absolutely. That was one of the greatest times of my professional career.
It was great.
Covering K-State, no doubt. Other than, I would say, what compares to it is winning the Big 12 in 2022.
But there are expectations, and when those aren't met, then there are consequences. And that just is what it is. It's a results-based business at the end of the day.
Let's take a break. Obviously, this is just kind of us getting started, honestly, with this topic because and as much as I hate talking about it, somebody made the comment the other day that, it was Mason. He congratulated me for having the enthusiasm of, a PA announcing at the games and all that stuff, and still, giving you the PJ, all that stuff. If you were listening closely, it obviously died down a little bit. There was no reason to just go all in when nobody's even cheering. The signs are things are not going well, and it's just the investment of not winning games and you're getting blown out is when somebody hits a three and it's a little golf clap.
Yeah. Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. You can only get so excited for that. We got to take a break. We got to wrap it up. We got a little this week in the Big 12. Wrap it up when we come back.
You're listening to Wildcat Insider.
American Family Insurance.
Have you recently replaced your roof? A newer roof could help you save on home insurance. Call us at Wild & Associates LLC, American Family Insurance, to get a quote and help ensure you have the right coverage. This is Rob Wild, agency owner with Wild & Associates LLC.
American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating companies, American Family Life Insurance Company, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
Don't let the cold keep you down. Come shop Blueville for all your indoor gardening needs. With a wide selection of houseplants and indoor gardening supplies, we've got everything you need to bring a little bit of life inside this winter. Don't forget about the birds. We have plenty of feed to keep them warm and happy on those cold winter days. Blueville Garden Store is open Tuesday through Saturday, 9 to 4. Come give us a visit at Blueville Nursery, where you'll always find a friendly smile and expert advice. Located at the corner of Scenic Drive in Anderson and Manhattan.
Start your engines! The 10th Annual Scouting America Coronado Area Council Corporate Pinewood Derby is racing into Manhattan Ford on Friday, February 13th from 7 to 10 p.m. To race, you'll need a sponsorship. Become a $1,000 track sponsor and receive 6 Derby car kits. A $500 pit crew sponsor includes 4 kits, or a team sponsor gets 2 kits. Just want to watch? Admission is $40 per person or $60 per couple. Enjoy food from Vista Drive-In, adult beverages, and live and silent auctions. Follow them on Facebook at Corporate Pinewood Derby or email Crystal Baldwin at scouting.org. See you at the races.
Can you help me access my work computer now that I'm working from home?
We can do that.
Is it possible for you to troubleshoot my computer without me coming into your store?
We can do that.
I'm getting messages that my password's been compromised by hackers.
We can.
And that I have malware installed.
We can.
I don't even go to the mall.
We can do all of that.
Fox Business Systems business level support. We can do that.
Call 776-1452 or stop by 531 Fort Riley Boulevard. WeBuildSolutions.com.
Man, old Gavin bringing out some of the new tunes here. Or I should say older tunes. I've actually been listening to a little bit of 50s here lately, Tim. I thought you may like to hear that. Get into I found a 50s playlist. It's pretty sweet. I mean, there's no radio station that plays any 50s music.
That's true.
So I've been kind of hard on that decade of music. I would never consider it one of the best ever, but we could power rank music decades here at another time here, Tim.
Absolutely.
But first, this week in the Big 12, as a matter of fact, Groundhog Day action, a little Big Monday at the United Supermarkets Cleanup on Aisle 9 Arena. It is number 11 Kansas and number 13 Texas Tech. KU, actually, they both have the same record. They're 16-5. Now Tech coming off that upset loss to UCF. KU, how much will they get out of Darren Peterson tonight? We'll see. Number 8, Houston is hosting UCF. You know, UCF playing some solid basketball this season. I think Houston won't have an issue there. By the way, the other big game this weekend, we got a top 20 matchup. Number 8, Houston. Number 16, BYU in Provo. By the way, the K-State women will play on Wednesday. They'll take on Arizona. 7 o'clock tip-off. Pregame coverage will be at 6:30. Plus this week, Oklahoma State at Arizona State. Number 20, West Virginia is at Colorado. Iowa State taking on Utah this weekend. That'll be another really good one as well. But that's going to wrap it up for Wildcat Insider. I want to thank Gavin Hyde across the glass, Tim Everson from the Manhattan Mercury, and PowerCat Game Day. It's going to wrap it up for me. I'm actually on the road with Manhattan Hoops tomorrow as the Tribe taking on Great Bend. So it's going to be Cole Dutchendorf and Toby Hummus is going to be leading you through 2 hours for tomorrow's show. That's going to wrap it up for the boys. I'm Mitch. Go Cats. Thank you for listening to Wildcat Insider on News Radio KMAN.
Getting you closer to the locker room than anyone else. This is Wildcat Insider. Wildcat Insider, an exclusive presentation of the flagship station of the K-State Sports Network. News Radio 1350, KMAN.
Okay, kids, Dad's gonna teach you how to dance. First, spread your feet apart. Then, pump your knee, nod your head, shake your hips, and bite your lip ever so slightly. Now, with one hand in the air, point at people with the other hand. I call that the rock star.
Dance like a dad.